Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today for this conversation with alumni from GISC's Competency Development Program for Coach Certification, or CDPCC. I'm Michelle Ward-Gillis. I'm the program manager here at Gestalt International Study Center, and I'm happy to be here with my colleague Kat Tessier, who will be helping me facilitate today's discussion. So we have three of our CDPCC graduates here with us today, and they're going to be sharing a bit about their experiences, what brought them to the program, what they took away from it, and how they're using what they learned in their work today. Our hope is that this conversation gives you a sense of what the CDPCC journey is like and helps you consider whether it might be the right next step for you. So to get us started, I'd like to invite each of our panelists to introduce yourself. As you do, please share your name, your ICF credential, your CDPCC graduation year, your current professional role or context, and anything else that you'd like us to know to set the stage for our conversation. So Rod, would you like to start us off?
I'd be happy to. Hi, Rod Allen. I am an ICF PCC. I graduated the Coach Development Program in 2013. It's been quite a few years ago. My current professional role is Vice President of Human Resources for Telecare Corporation. I also have a coaching and consulting firm, Empath Global LLC.
Awesome. Thanks, Rod. Janelle, would you like to go next?
Sure. So I'm Janelle Timmons Pursley. I graduated in 2023. So more recently, I was part of a virtual cohort, which I think was something new then, given the COVID pandemic. My current role is I'm an organizational development partner at Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. Just a note, I'm a scientist by training, so my career journey to this work has been, relatively unique. So I've been kind of traveling that path. And in addition to my work in-house, I also have a coaching practice outside. So thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. Donna, would you like to go next?
I'm Donna Lashau. I graduated from the program in 2018. I'm an ICF PCC, and I'm in private practice. I work as an executive coach and work mostly with high performers in the tech industry, anywhere from founders and entrepreneurs to executive teams. I'm excited to be here.
So thanks again for being here to share your knowledge and expertise with us. Let's dive right into the questions. And again, when we ask questions, please feel free to jump in with your thoughts. So our first question is, what led you to choose GISC's Coach Training Program?
I come from a long lineage of GISC practitioners in my organization. There's like a critical mass, and so it was really their recommendation that kind of brought me into the program when I sort of transitioned into the role that I have now. In addition, I think a little bit of research around the methodology kind of had me really curious about learning more about. It was my first interaction with Gestalt, and so it was an education curve on that level too that I was really, really interested in at the time.
I had previous experience with Gestalt. I had studied organization and system development at the Gestalt Institute of Cleveland, as well as a few other programs there. And through those relationships, I knew two of the faculty on the GISC Coach Training Program. And so when I was looking for a place to do my coach training, those relationships were a key decision factor, but also I was very committed to continuing my professional development with a Gestalt lens and also with a cohort development program, a cohort training program. That was an important factor in my decision around the organization development program that I studied in, as well as the coach program. So I'm a very strong proponent of cohort learning methodology.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything, Donna?
Yeah, I found GISC and the coach program by accident over and over again, and after many many referrals, ended up taking the plunge. It started with my therapist, who was a Gestalt therapist, first recommending Cape Cod when she uh, you know, saw that I was more interested in people rather than technology, which is what I was working in as a consultant at the time. But because she was my therapist and told me what to do, I didn't listen to her. And then I ended up through colleagues. I was teaching at a series of workshops at Google at the time. And when they saw the type of work I was doing in leadership development with teams, someone had done work with GISC and she just said, "You have to go to Cape Cod. We're teaching a workshop next week. Please be there." And I think I hopped on a plane, and it was completely inconvenient and insane to get there, and rented a car and showed up. And that's when I looked into the coach program and then signed up and started a week later. So it was kind of a serendipitous, but I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, us too. I'm happy that worked out.
So, as you're thinking back about your experience in GISC's coaching program, I have a two-part question. One, what stands out for you from that time in the program and your experiences? And what do you see as the program's key strengths?
So I'll start. A couple of things stand out. One, I literally, despite how many years ago that was, I can visualize the group of us in the room, and there were so many relationships there that have become lifelong relationships, and it's really quite remarkable. So the people in the room is one of the things that stands out. Also, the format of teaching, what stands out for me is the practicum, the practical level of work that we did. So, in addition to learning about competencies and having presentations and dialogue, we spent a lot of time coaching one another and being observed and getting feedback. And so those times in the practicum level of the work was nerve-wracking, but intense and meaningful learning. And I can see myself sitting across from one of my cohort members coaching this person, and it was one of the early times in the coaching seat, and the person was like a very kind of metaphorical, artistic thinker, and I was finding myself struggling to grab onto something to work with. And I just remember that to this day, and it's something that I come back to often about, staying curious and being open. And it's just remarkable that that type of experience I can still access, this many years later.
Thank you. It's awesome to hear about.
For me, I think what stands out is the intentional design of the course. Because as I mentioned, I was not familiar at all with Gestalt, right? In any way, I had to even like look up what it meant. And so I was like, what is that? I was very like, I didn't have any grounding in it. And it was one of those, I'm like, I'm just going to trust this process. And it was like magical. And now, looking back, it's like, that's because it was like intentionally designed, like the learning, the learning reinforcement, trying, playing, practicing, like all of it was so intentional. And so much so that I remember thinking, oh, this is like slow. I mean, I work in this fast paced environment. I'm like, okay, and I didn't get it. And then when I got it, I was like, oh, this is what it is. Right. And so I think I put that all in the wrapper of like how intentionally it was designed. Right. So that stands out to me. And also I would say, the deep personal development that I had been warned about, I guess, but I wasn't quite ready for. But it's like one thing, like once you kind of have it in your bones, like you see everything this way. And I think it's a really important and profound way to kind of show up in the world. And I think that's probably one of the kind of the hidden benefits and like really, really impactful things for me.
I think to piggyback off of that, those are the two things that stand out that I think are also the program strengths, which is one, you learn as much about yourself as you do about Gestalt and about coaching and about the process and how it all works. And in learning more about yourself, you get to learn by example, and then it's sort of a very meta experience all around. And the ability to learn by doing also, I think is unique to this program, because you are thrown in and get to figure it out, but you do it in I think a particular way that is also a strength, which is in little chunks and pieces. And my favorite metaphor I remember was learning your scales. And I'm a musician, and so that I never fully learned my scales, so I tend to just start things and stop things. But the idea of trying and trying and trying and trying something over again, really, it's the best way to learn, and then breaking things apart, putting it all back together. So it was a whole lot of very meta experiences where the whole thing was designed in the way that we also learned to coach, which it's kind of making my brain hurt even trying to explain that right now, but it works very well.
All right, so I think Rod started to touch on this, but we were wondering, how did your cohort and learning alongside others shape your growth as a coach?
I think I can chime in here, which is, I think cohort learning is the way to go for something like this. I didn't realize how unique it was until I had talked to some friends who were in other coaching programs, outside of GISC, where it was just random people every session that they would show up, and they didn't have that same experience that we have here. And I think being able to connect not just with the learning and with the instructors, but with other students, it makes and it's very Gestalt as well, but it makes the learning that stick that much better, and also just enables you to have a safe space to learn and practice, and also strengthen your professional network and grow in that way as well. So I didn't realize how unique it is, but I think it's the only way to learn for sure.
I'll add to that. I think that the thing that is most meaningful to me is the safe space that's created, and the opportunity to both be in a learning environment where people are coming from many different backgrounds with many different skill sets. And it kind of creates a bit of a microcosm of what you may be experiencing as you start to work with clients. So you begin to learn a little bit about your lenses, the way that you build relationship and build ground with people who are different than you, which is a critical part of creating a safe space with a client to have really effective coaching. So you begin to experience that in the development as you're growing, and it adds a really important lens or frame to the way that you think about who you are as a coach. So it's not just the competencies, but it's also the relationship, and it's the way that you begin to learn to relate to others in a different way.
I would agree with what everyone said. And I think what is profound about the cohort experience is that you're all contributing and also responsible to an extent for each other's learning. So it really is like what you bring and how you show up in your vulnerability, your transparency, your risk taking, and all of that is like is so much a additive level of someone else's learning. And I think that it was really profound to me, the responsibility we all took in kind of how we showed up, because we knew it was a piece of how much we were going to be able to learn, right? It was how present each of us was. In addition to that, the relationships, the network, the community, it's hard to come by, right? In sort of the more isolated we become, the community part of it was so meaningful to me as well.
I want to note that it's so awesome hearing from the three of you how impactful the cohort experience was. And I just want to note, like, some of y'all were in person and some were online. So that cohort experience, it sounds like, was able to translate across different formats and kind of, that virtual versus in-person structure. So love that.
And I'll add that now that you brought up virtual, I'd like to add that, as a result of the pandemic and having to go virtual, we've had, I think, the opportunity to have cohorts that are much more geographically, culturally diverse. And so the community that is being built now in these programs is much more vast, and I think has even greater value. So, there were some downsides to not being in person, but the upsides are huge, I think, to virtual.
So I think you've all touched on this a little bit, but I want to dive a bit deeper into, from your perspective, based on your experiences, what do you think sets GISC and the Gestalt approach apart from other coaching styles or programs?
We talked about the cohort a lot. I think it is not to be overstated. Like, we can overstate it. I think it's fair to say it's like a huge differentiator for Gestalt. I think the other is just the commitment to staying in the present, right? I think a lot of my experience with coaches is just moving to outcomes, which is important, right? But I think that the philosophy and the commitment to staying with what is happening in that person, in that moment, in that situation, I think that patience actually leads to more impactful outcomes. And I think that is a differentiator in the philosophy of it. So those would be two things I would name as really differentiating.
So I'll add to that the theory that underpins the way that we approach coaching. So not only do you get all of the ICF competencies, and you're really prepared to sit for a certification if that's the route you want to go, but adding the Gestalt lens adds a focus on growth, not just outcomes. And so we are very relational in the way that we approach coaching. We do stay in the here and now, and that's based on our knowledge and understanding of the way that we grow as humans and where change is possible, and change is possible in the moment, in the now. So we're working with what's real, what's happening between you and the client in the moment, and using that to identify the areas for growth and development, not just coaching to specific outcomes. And I think that and our approach to experimentation, we know that adults learn by doing. And so we bring experimentation into the process and teach you how to use that as a part of your coaching methodology.
And I think, to piggyback off that, I don't know what it is. It must be everything that everyone's mentioned, the approach to growth, the approach to change, just how we are trained to be with people rather than just be focused on ticking boxes or like getting things done. But I know with colleagues who have, I hate to continue to compare GISC to other coaching programs, but I know plenty of coaches who have done certifications and trainings elsewhere, and they often have such a sour outlook on having to tick boxes and having to do things a certain way. And oh my God, ICF this, and I can't believe this, and I can't believe that. And they leave with the opposite of what I left with, and I still have, which is reverence for the process that we learn of being with ourselves, being with clients, being with the process. And yeah, I often hear just like, that's so silly. I'm just going to do things my own way. Or lots of friends who never even bothered to get certified in anything after they took coaching courses. And I wonder, what are they learning? And so for me, this is absolutely transformative. I know for my clients, after almost 10 years, it's still transformative to them. So yeah, whatever we do at GISC, I think it's all of the above. Then we see that coaching in this way is not just about following steps and saying we're doing things, but it's about actual, real, deep, meaningful transformation happening in the most powerful way possible. And that's pretty cool.
All right. How did CDPCC prepare you to become a coach or influence your existing practice?
I can answer that first, which is so in my industry, I work in mostly, not all, but mostly in the tech industry, and have for very long time at this point. And when I had started the program, I had a lot of colleagues, including myself, who called ourselves coaches. And that's very common in the tech world to, once you become, if you're an independent consultant, to if you work in a certain way, like in an hourly way, and you're building capacity in the organizations you work with, you're called a coach, and that's the mental model people have. But you're really just giving technical expertise in hourly bursts. So you're still a consultant. But I didn't understand until I was in the program that coaching could be something completely different, which is you actually build capacity in another person or in a team to do their own thing and learn their own process and learn their own ways of solving problems. And you can just sit back and let them do the work for you. And it took me a long time to really understand that. I know, and that's where practicum helped a lot. I can't tell you how many times I'd be in practicum, and Stuart Simon, who was one of the faculty in my program at the time, he kept interrupting and saying, "Stop doing the work for them. Let the client do the work. Sit back." And I think that was the best skill, and actually life skill, that I'd ever learned, that I still relearn every single day, which is, to really coach is not to lend your expertise. It's not to force people to do things a certain way or even force them to have the outcomes they want. It's to sit back and help them see what they can't see and help them better understand their process so they can adapt a better process towards getting whatever it is they need to get done. And I still think that's unique.
I couldn't have said it any better. I will say that, so my work is primarily internal. So I've been in the human resources space as a business partner to senior leaders, and leading teams of business partners. And so the work that I do external is, very sporadic and periodic. I don't have a large practice externally, so most of my work is internal. And I think the thing that sets me apart from the way that others work with people inside organizations is that I have a way of being with, as we talked about, and asking questions of individuals and teams that help them to gain a greater awareness of how they are moving through their space, if you will, how they are approaching their challenges, the things that the patterns that they may not be seeing that could be interrupting their ability to be successful, and helping them to discover where they want to grow and or change, and then providing them the tools and resources to do that. So it's really kind of a mix of providing the coaching that helps them to uncover where they want to grow and change, and then as an internal, bringing them to the resources that will assist them in doing that.
Yeah, I mean, agree with everything, and I would say kind of a deeper understanding of the power of process. I would say that allows that shows up all the time. I have my own resistance around like contracting, for example. Like, why do we do this so like deeply? And it's one of those things where once you get it, then it's like you can't not get it. And so that's just one example. And so you do that all. I see myself contracting all the time in sort of every space, and it's like profoundly impactful, not just for me, so that we all can be really clear, but I think for anyone that I'm working with. So that's one piece of the process. And so I think it's really like the commitment to the process like invites the opportunity to grow. So I would say, in addition to what everyone else said, I would add that as something that has pulled through from GISC across like kind of everything I do.
Thank you. And I know that this has sort of been touched upon already, but the follow-up, there's a two-part follow-up question, which is how are you using your coach training and certification today, whether in your own practice or within your current role or organization? And then for those of you who started a coaching practice, what did that journey look like? And how did CDPCC prepare you for it? And again, I know some of you already touched on it, so if you want to build on what you said, or if you don't have anything to add, that's okay too. But
in my daily life, I find that I am using my coaching skills in so many ways, whether it is, finding those powerful questions that can help to bring a new awareness to someone, or if it is my understanding of how to be with in a way that helps to build and strengthen relationship. And the idea of experimentation, I find myself bringing it to, many different places, saying, well, let's try something different. And I may not use that language, but that's really what we're doing is experimenting with a different way of doing things. So it really extends across so many different aspects of my life, from the way that I lead my teams to the way that I work and coach and advise leaders in the organization, to ways that I kind of approach the world differently outside of work.
Did you want to add anything, Janelle, or are you all set?
No, I mean, I think I've said it already. It's just sort of the mindset and the positioning of powerful questions. Like, it's one of those, to me, it's been like, once you do and are that way, it's you just are that way all the time. And so in parenting and just other relationships, in a work environment that isn't a formal coaching environment, I would say just the way of being, like from optimistic stance to building awareness, like that is so powerful in all settings. And I find that to be sort of the longevity and the legs of the training, so to speak.
So as we all know, but we've touched on it a little bit, that GISC's coach training program is accredited by the International Coaching Federation. We're a level 2 accredited program. And so I'm curious for the three of you, what was the value that you saw in attending a program that was ICF accredited, is ICF accredited, and if you pursued your credential after the program, what was that like? Did you feel prepared? Yeah.
At the time that I took the program, I wasn't 100% certain that I wanted to pursue certification, but the value of it was that I knew that I had that option, and that I didn't have to, do any other training, seek out any other program. I felt completely prepared and understood what to expect in the exam. I knew that I had the hours that I needed from a training perspective. So it was very easy. It was literally just applying to sit for the exam and taking it. And it was, all exams can be a bit nerve wracking, but I was completely prepared. I passed the first time. I had all of the hours that I needed. And it is one of the accreditations that I hold that I'm most proud of, because of the rigor that I know was behind meeting the requirements to even sit for the certification.
I was kind of coming from a similar spot. I didn't think I was going to bother with certification at all. I didn't even think I was going to bother with GISC certification, because I figured I was just going to learn some new skills and then use whatever I learned about coaching to add to my consulting business. But by the end of the program, I was really glad that it was so easy to get ICF certified afterwards, because while I haven't used my ICF certification a lot over the last 10 years, I think I've been asked maybe twice ever if I'm certified. So it has come in handy a couple of times, but I do feel more qualified to work at the level that I work at. And so I work with a lot of CEOs. I work with people across different management levels. But if I'm working with a CEO, for example, and I'm collaborating on something with the head of people operations or HR, like, I'm not just some dilettante coming in who doesn't know what they're talking about. Like, I'm certified, I'm legit, I know my stuff. And I feel like that is one conversation we don't need to have. And it feels good to be able to come in and do that. But I think it was especially nice that it was not a heavy lift. Again, to compare this to other programs, I have colleagues who have done other programs who never got certified in anything because it was so hard to get certified in either that program's certification or ICF afterwards. And this was just easy. Just set up to do it. You may as well do it.
It's you guys are inspiring me, because I still have a little time to sit for the exam, because I'm the most recent graduate, and I have the approval to do it, right? So from a like a what the criteria perspective, like I'm ready. I just have to schedule the exam. You know what I mean? So I can just say from that perspective, all the hours, the learning hours, the mentor hours, like, it's all done, right? And but you guys are inspiring me to just go.
Just do it.
Go do it.
Just do it. Pull the Band-Aid off.
I know. I put it on my to-do list. Don't worry. It says take the ICF test. I just.
What was your experience engaging in different modes of learning? For example, coaching, being coached, observing, and giving feedback during the program.
Amazing. I'm a multimodal learner, and I need to learn by watching, by doing, by trying, by failing, by teaching, and using all my senses. And that's the only way I can learn. It's like the program was designed for me. If I just have one of those or just a couple of those modes, it's not as effective. So and I think Janine mentioned earlier, like, just the design of the program is so well done. I feel like it enables, it's a Gestalt program, right? So it's sort of like it's taken its own medicine to design the best holistic experience from all the different angles and perspectives. So everything. And I think I realize it is unique to this program and Gestalt programs in general, but definitely GISC.
Yeah, I think having been probably overeducated, I have a lot of like didactic stuff. So I did appreciate, though, that there's a lot of of reading and resources behind there if you want that, in addition to, but I don't think I needed it, right? I think the design of the hours you spend in the course are sufficiently diverse and complete to kind of, I think, catch all the ways in which we learn. And I will say, though, about the practicum, I would say was terrifying, actually. So if you're a little bit nervous about it, it's okay. And just the grace and the warmth that, I had Stuart and Jamie, like that created the space, like for it to be okay, right? And you learn to give the feedback. And the other piece is like, it's all appreciative. So from a scientist, the skeptic in me, it was hard to learn that, actually. Like, how do you, we're only giving you appreciative feedback. Like, that's it. That's the job. And I think it just embeds the, like, what we pay attention to grows, and that notion of like this optimistic stance, not only in like how we are, but how we learn and teach each other. So that part, while at the beginning was terrifying, then I realized like how warm and positive the experience was to get the feedback, to actually have to give it. But it's great. So and I think paired with sort of, it was a morning afternoon split. So like paired with the morning of more like lecture teaching, and then you finish with practicum, I think was really wise, and we ingrain the learning every day. So really, really great.
I just have one word. It's essential. I think the different modes of learning are essential. The design is very intentional. I think that it allows for all of us who have different modes of learning to find the mode that works best for us, but also to grow from an appreciative standpoint, right? To grow in our ability to learn in other ways as well. And I think that it is a hallmark of the GISC approach, especially when we add the optimistic stance and focusing on well-developed and less well-developed, creating a really safe space for all of us to find our learning edge and to have the different modes of learning to support the way that we learn best.
Thank you. To wrap up, we have one final question. What's one lasting impact the program has had on you personally or professionally?
I can start. I mean, I've said this a couple times, but it is a way of being. It's not just a way of coaching. It's not just a way of teaching, learning. It's like a way of being. And I think it is, especially in the moment that we're in, is like really powerful to be able to have optimistic stance, to share in the creating of safe spaces for people to build their awareness. And I will say one thing that was said to me in a mentor conversation, that I say it all the time. I should probably give more credit to it, but this idea of, not only as a coach, but just as a person in the world, to like share it boldly and hold it lightly, right? Like, just not attach yourself to the idea or the thing that you're offering, and it just disarms so much pressure or outcome driven world that we live in. So to me, like, it's in my head constantly. And so that's just something that I don't think I'll ever like let go of. It's been so impactful for me.
I think for me, reinforcing what's a belief of mine, or a value, that there's always opportunity to grow and change. And the program, definitely gave me tools and a theoretical underpinning for supporting that ability to grow and change. And so it has just reinforced something that is a value of mine.
Yeah, and I think to add to all of this, I mean, it's just a way of being. I think that's the best way of looking at it. And I'm able to go through life knowing that I'm doing the best I can with the tools I have available to me, and that everyone else I'm working with or living with or doing anything with also is doing the best they can with the tools they have available to them, and that we all have opportunities to what's my phrase from GISC, expand our range. We can all expand our range of what's possible. And it's just such a neat way of walking through life and engaging with other people that, coaching aside, certification aside, just the life skills that you get to learn in this program are unique and just so useful, so powerful.
That's so great to hear. Thank you, everyone. And I'm going to turn it over to Michelle for some closing remarks.
So first of all, just a huge thank you to the three of you for taking the time to talk with us today and sharing your experiences so openly. Personally, I loved hearing your stories and your experiences and hearing how the coaching program has had a lasting impact, both professionally and personally. And to everyone out there watching, thank you for your interest in GISC and CDPCC. We hope this conversation gave you a good feel for the program and what it's like to be part of the GISC community. And if you'd like to learn more about CDPCC and our upcoming cohorts, please visit the GISC website, gisc.org, and don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions. So that's it for now. Thank you, everyone. Take care.